I think what we all were trying to do was to pursue the best education that we saw for ourselves. And for me, it was the support of family and friends who didn't say you were really out of your mind to go to that school in the first place, but people who supported the idea of change. And as you know, those of you who've studied the history a little bit, that was a period that things were beginning to change. The Montgomery bus boycott was a couple of years before we went to Central. The Emmett Till murder was something that really registered with me. And so I thought, we were 3 years after the Supreme Court decision, that there was an opportunity to make a change to better our educational options. We didn't know we were going to, 60 years be the symbol of changes occurring, but I'm proud to be a part of it, and hopefully when we go down in the history books 20 years from now, hopefully, I don't think we'll be sitting here, but we may, to be able to come to the Lincoln Library to talk about the Emancipation Proclamation, the Supreme Court decision in 54, the role that we played in 57, the other activities that have gone on, is really the course of changing the character of this country. And as a child growing up, the segregated buses and segregated water fountains and the restaurants we couldn't go to and the movies we had to sit up in the back, I didn't think that made sense then. I still don't think it made sense. And I saw attending Central as a chance to change my options, but also I hope that I'd make a change in some of the broader issues. And proud to be a part of that.
Put so much energy, time, and resources into maintaining lines of separation between people by law and by custom for so long that it was extraordinary that we would show up and say we have to alter this status quo. And that, by the way, is an explanation for why we're still stuck in 2015. When you think about it, this country has been so dedicated to the notion that there should be a hierarchy of whiteness to blackness, and we have bought it without question for so long. We tend to think that the hierarchy is sacred, and all the other stuff we do has nothing to do with the core issues. We play games. Somebody said earlier here how nice it is to look around and see that you're sitting next to somebody who's not the same as you. Well, that's been true from the country's inception. George Washington and George Washington's slaves lived in the same time space. They occupied the same facilities. They ate the same food. They interacted together. They slept together. When you look at the palette of African Americans before you, we run the gamut from ebony to ivory. That's not by mistake. That's not because of the laws of segregation, because the laws of segregation probably were only enforced until sundown. But in any case, when you think about it, our core issues remain unchallenged. This country has been formulated in the cauldron of racism, and we have stirred it, but we have not chosen to remove it. Thank you.
When you see the images going around in the country today of the different protests, and I was wondering if you were ever reminded of your time as the Little Rock Nine with the mob and the National Guard being there at your school.
Yes, the mobs, as far as that part is very vivid. But what bothers me is the violence that I see and the destruction of property in these particular areas. I would like to find another way for us to get young people to get their point across by coming to the table and being a part of the process of working out problems. And still have a voice. You need a voice. But the destruction of property, the violence that has taken place, what was bad to begin with you don't go into that situation and remain the same or be an equal to them as far as what injustice has already taken place. So that's what I see today. And as far as the mobs go, yes, it is a reflection of what we went through during that time. It was a white mob, for sure. So the National Guard is there to protect you. We thought they were there to protect us initially. We were told that this was, the National Guard was being called out to protect the citizens of Little Rock, and we surely considered ourselves citizens. We paid taxes just like the next person. My father paid taxes. As he stated, they don't take the black dollars and put them over here and the white dollars, tax dollars, and put them over there. So those are some of the things that I think about when I see some of the things that are going on in our country today.